sure we'll give a few seconds here and make sure that we're streaming. All right, there we go. We are live. So, good morning, people. Welcome to the stream. It's been a minute since we've had a live stream. How are you doing this morning, Bob?
You know, a little tired. What can you say?
Well, that's why you need caffeine for the Caffeine Crusade.
Oh yeah, I'm
So,
loaded.
yes, same. Got my Yeti full of soda. So, um, so yeah. So, 11th edition is nearly upon us. Like a month or so out. I think it's. I really wish that GW would stop the Chinese water torture of information, because this little drip splashing on my head information stream is freaking killing me. So you know it's super frustrating that like, for example, this week we got literally nothing, not a single article about 11th edition. um, so like, I want to know more. Like, there's so much that they could still discuss and they just haven't. Napalm Brother says, turn your mic up. Whose? Mine? Bob's? I can turn mine up a little. How's that? That better? So, so yeah. So, what, Bob? What are you most excited for 11th edition so far?
Honestly, I am probably the most excited about the new mission style. The mix and match of building your detachments and getting the style of list it is, and then matching that up against another opponent and getting the missions for that. I think that's kind of a cool little flavor mix. It adds a lot of strategy to the game, whether you get to be purge the foe or reconnaissance or priority asset, and then matching up against one of the other five. I think that's kind of fun. Do I think it could potentially be gamed? Yeah, potentially. But I think it'll be interesting to see which of our detachments are going to fall under what. Uh, I have a feeling that it's not going to be just straight up purge the foe for everything, which is going to be kind of fun. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think that will be interesting. I was When they first announced it on the, was it Adepticon? Whatever that stream was, where they first announced 11. I forget what tournament that was.
Yeah, it
Um,
was Adepticon.
yeah, I was really skeptical, but now that we've seen a couple of the missions, I think they're pretty well balanced. They're achievable, but not like auto wins by any means. You still score points normally by standing on objectives, which apparently are not circles anymore. I was also really skeptical about that, but after seeing a couple of the maps, I think I think it's going to be fine. One of the things that I'm probably currently the most excited about is the new terrain setups. I think partially because currently the way that they have you setting up the map not only favors but is encouraged to just have a bunch of L-shaped buildings, which is super boring. You know, even on like tabletop simulator where you can like create whatever you want. It's still all just L-shaped buildings. So having actual ruins and actual other pieces of terrain that are not ruins, like forests or what have you, I think is going to be really neat. Partially, I'm also excited about that because looking at the terrain I own, I have a full table plus of terrain. I have these. I think it's Sector Mechanicus was the kit where it came with those like long pipes, those big pipes that sit on the ground. And previously, like I have a bunch of them, and previously they were basically just going to be like scatter terrain, right? It's not used for anything serious. And now it can be those long pieces because there's like two really long pieces and like four shorter like skinny pieces, and the I can use them for that. So that's really neat. I like that. I have some like medium sized scatter terrain as well that goes with that. That'll be used for those like 4x6 pieces. So I really like the new terrain things. I know there have been some talk about, oh well, the measurements GW gave are not accurate. Well, okay, I see what they're saying, and it's especially the triangle pieces because they're not perfect triangles. It's technically a trapezoid because the way they've done it is it's the right angle and then it's like a wavy line and then it stops and goes up. So that length is the length is on their listed on their website, but it's not a triangle. It's a trapezoid technically. So designed to fit together with the other piece to make a square. They just cut it weird. So I think that's where some of that confusion comes in. But assuming that that's the correct shape, I think it'll be fine. So, what are your thoughts on the terrain?
I think everyone that bought terrain for the game is kind of looking around like, now I got to buy some more terrain because admittedly it is a big break from what 10th edition did.
Yeah,
So there's going to be some changes needed on these boards. Fortunately, if you went with like one of those modular or 3D printed uh, setups,
yeah.
it'll be a little bit easier for you. But
There's
I
a
think,
forget who makes it, but there's a modular terrain thing where it's like the pieces are like this big and they all click together, and you can make basically whatever shape you want. I think something like that will be fine for this because you can just make whatever you want. For me, my terrain is GW. So my terrain is the Sector Mechanicus, which is those pipes. And then there's a couple, I have four small buildings. They have a giant Mechanicus logo on them. They're, I don't know, maybe like that big. And then I have five buildings, including one really large building that is all from the Chalnath set. So the Kill Team set, which honestly, like, I built one box of those to the way the instructions say, and then I got another set and I built it however I wanted, and I managed to get three pieces instead of two out of it. So that GW style terrain, it's the I think it's the also it's the same type of terrain that's the Sector Imperialis. Is that right?
yep, yep.
Is ultra modular. Like you could build that however you wanted to. So if you're gonna buy that terrain, you can build it however you want to fit the new designs. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. I think the new boards look good. They've got enough terrain. They've got but it looks. I think it looks better than a bunch of L-shaped buildings. So I'm also interested to see how combat is going to go. Obviously, we're a melee faction, so we like to get into melee. I think it will be interesting to see. I want to know a little bit more about some of the some of the specifics on stuff like consolidation, for example. They didn't specify whether you can just freely choose to still move or whether you have to, like, currently consolidation is very, very restrictive. Two pylons, if you do it right, can be fun. It's like, you know, the hobbits. Yes, we've
I
had
know
one
there's a
pylon,
lot of
but what about second pylon?
yeah. I know there's a lot of angry people about that, especially elf players,
Well, you know what?
because they wanna tackle their transports into the combat as well, and you got to be careful about that.
You know,
But
I don't feel any sympathy for Eldar players. I'm sorry. So,
I won't mention anything. All I
um,
say is, if anyone needs any help with how to beat the Drukhari, you can always ask me in
mhm.
the Discord.
You're a traitor. We know. It's not. Everyone already knows, Bob. Um, Kirk says those new
You never
detachments
ask.
look or took over the news this last week. Yeah, that's true. They did, but I don't know. I feel like we're getting like maybe one thing a week because we get, and I don't count the models. I'm sorry. Like, previewing models is not. I want to see rules. We need rules previews, and giving us essentially one rules preview a week is terrible. And we got nothing this week. You want to build hype. GW is usually the master of building hype, and they're just falling on their face right now. So, really hope next week we get something interesting because we want to talk about it. I want to talk about 11th. I want to get excited for it. So, Tim says, "Is there any chance Wrathful Procession gets reworked or eliminated? Will we get a new detachment?" Okay, so the it's not going to get eliminated, at least not yet. Maybe when we get our codex. I don't know. GW implied that all our current rules will still work. It's possible that they may tweak some wording on some strats or something to make it jive with the way 11th edition will work. But it's not going to get eliminated. We will probably get some new detachments. They did say they're releasing, what is it, 70, Bob, new detachments
Yep,
with
70.
the edition launch. Now, some of those are probably going to be generic ones that everybody can take, but there's probably going to be at least one or two for every faction, I would think. So we'll see. We'll see
I
what form that takes.
I can't imagine they're going to do a major rewrite on any of the existing detachments. Uh, I think what it will be some word clarifications, keyword changes, just to mesh with the 11th edition, and then they're going to give them the assigned detachment points, and then leave
Yeah,
it at that.
yeah.
So everything that currently exists is, we can assume, is going to be pretty close to what it is, and then kind of go from there. Um, with that being said, I do think that there is going to be at least a couple of them for us in the 70 slot. So yeah, um, with kind of tying into that, do you think the chaplains would get reworked to work better for us? Well, the
No.
rumor is that there is a new Space Marine codex that's going to be dropping pretty much right after the start of
Oh,
11th edition.
I'm sure it'll be first. It's always first.
So
And then it suffers for
either
like half the edition because GW forgets and doesn't care. And
it's either orcs or us, one of the two.
or people. Well, we're probably gonna get both at the same time. That's what happened in 10th. We got Nids and Space Marines at the same time. So we're probably going to get both at the same time. And but yeah, that's what always happens. GWs, Space Marines come out first, and then the power creep happens, and Space Marines suck for like a year or so, and then they they just decide, oh, we're gonna buff them, and then everyone complains, and then they nerf us again. It's a
As
vicious
far as
cycle.
special characters, I see do things prepping says I hope they make Grimmaldus a bit better. Grimmaldus probably won't be touched until well into 11th because we were one of the last armies to get updated in 10th edition. They probably won't touch us until probably later 11th.
And I do want to
So
touch on that. Grimmaldus is amazing right now. Um, I think uh, there was when the codex dropped, there was a lot of hemming and hawing about how he's shelf material now. He's terrible and whatnot, but he's really not. People were hemming and hawing the loss of the Feel No Pain, which, you know, yeah, it was nice to have a 20 man with a 5-up Feel No Pain, but GW's made it clear they don't want giant units with Feel No Pains. Like stuff with Feel No Pains is mostly single models now, or it'll be a Feel No Pain against mortal wounds. So, but Grimmaldus is fantastic. It just means we get to use that extra AP. Uh, the So let me pull his data sheet up because he's still really good in my opinion. Full rerolls to hit and +1 AP are the two best buffs that you can give a melee unit, and he works really well with uh, assault intercessors. His dudes don't take up spots in the transports anymore, so that's a huge benefit for him. And you've got a blade of wounds. So if you really need to, you can also get +1 advance and charge. So if you need to, you're getting extra movement. So I would contend Grimmaldus is fine right where he is. Maybe he's a touch expensive. What is he, 110?
yeah,
He'd probably be fine at 100.
yeah, he could
But
lose 10 points,
yeah,
but ultimately, in the scheme of things, we kind of talked about it with other buffs and nerfs is 10 points here, 10 points there is not a big deal um, when it's one unit. But I think he's fine. Yes, it's a little bit disappointing that he didn't give the durability, um, but I think that's it is what it is. I think they've gone kind of away from that overall in the game. Feel no pains. It's just really kind of thematic piece now. There's very few things that have it,
I mean
but
he still has
I don't.
his, and the servitors get it.
Well,
But
yeah,
yeah,
his does, but he doesn't grant it to
right.
the unit anymore.
And they've gone away. If you look at all the other armies, they've gone away from large units having feel no pain. They just don't want it. Even Death Guard doesn't get it. So yeah. About Seven Pirates says, do you think the focus on transports, particularly Land Raiders, is to sell remaining stock and then have us upgrade to a Primaris version in 11th? No, Land Raiders aren't going anywhere. It's literally the most iconic tank in all of Space Marine, in all of 40k. Space Marines for sure, but all of 40k. It's the most iconic tank. Probably followed very closely by the Rhino. I know the Firstborn's probably dead in 11th. Can't see any of the Firstborn units surviving that are left. Unfortunately, especially not Centurions. Breaks my heart because I do miss Brother Sergeant Chadius. But yeah, I don't see any of them surviving. I don't know what they'll do with the Rhino, but I cannot see them getting rid of it. I mean, they still have to sell the sprue anyway for sisters and for chaos, and it's again, it's the one of the most iconic tanks in the entire game. They're not going to get rid of it. Now we may get a new Land Raider kit. I could see that. Uh,
Oh yeah, there's rumors
yeah,
the Rhino and Land Raider kits
yeah.
supposedly have been re-updated.
So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know honestly how you could really improve the Rhino, the Land Raider kit. I mean, it's what's it going to look like? Is it going to be bigger? Is it going to be? I don't know. So to be honest, I think if they are redoing it, they need to put all three options in one box. It's ludicrous to me that it's $115 and you have to pick which version comes that you get. That's absurd. I realize it's like Crusader, Redeemer, and regular, but that's just dumb. Like
Really,
for
it's all that's changing is the sponsons and
yeah, the chassis is
the
exactly the
swivel.
same.
Yeah, it's completely the same. So it's really, I mean, they did it back in fifth and sixth edition, or maybe it was fourth edition.
Yeah,
You just had the upgrade
the
kit,
upgrade kit.
yeah, and they should
Which,
never have gone away with that.
by the way, back in the day, uh, Land Raiders were like $60. So the fact that they've gone up 200% in value or 100% in value, doubled in cost for a kit that's now 20 years old is absurd to me. But that's a whole. I could ramble on about that forever, so we won't go there.
But Alex, that's what it costs to maintain the the mold.
No, it doesn't. Don't give me that. So they don't keep increasing the price of the same Lego kit. It's the same thing. It's all injection molded plastic.
With that being said, I don't know about you guys, but the Chaplains Through the Ages article that they posted on the Warhammer community site, that gave me some serious nostalgia. Makes me want to go and acquire all those models again. I don't know about you. I remember painting a lot of those models. My favorite Chaplain is still, for those of you that are able to check the website, it's the ones where they're talking about the fourth edition ones and the Terminator. It's the left middle one with the skull, and he's using the Crozius. That's the Aquila Crozius. That's my favorite Chaplain. It's just something very, yeah, the OG metal firstborn one. Apparently, there's a muted. Am I coming through?
That's me. My bad. I had to clear my throat and I muted. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you're talking about the one where it says throughout the 2000s, the the one down in the middle of the four, right?
Um, it's underneath the chapter specific ones, and then it's, yeah, a few more chaplains were released within the 2000s, and then it shows a Terminator chaplain, and then on the left above it, that's my favorite chaplain.
Oh, okay. I have that dude. He's not painted, but I have him. That Terminator Chaplain is the greatest Chaplain of all time. That's one of my favorite Chaplain miniatures. Him and the jump pack guy, which I think they showed. Um, I don't don't know. They didn't show the one that I have, because that's a Blood Angel one. That's a Blood Angel specific one, yeah. But
Yeah.
he's a jump pack dude. He's like leaping off a rock, pointing his bolt pistol in his left hand. Those are my two of my favorites. Although I will say, the the Execrator I really like, as far as the new ones go. The Indominus Chaplain I really like. I do not like the Pimp Cane guy. I like the model. I'm sorry. Why does he have a cane? That's not a Crozius. It's a stick. Like, let's get a real Crozius in there. But I mean, that's an easy fix. You just cut the head off it and put a real Crozius on there. Like, that's not hard. But it's a cool model. The robe, the like leather robe, is cool.
There was a question about, do we think the chaplains are going to be a leader or support? I think they're going to be leaders because there are support pieces with the chaplains. The Execrator is one of them. Judiciar is another one. I think those are going to fill that support piece. But with that being said, I don't think we're going to be taking the Judiciar in its current iteration very often. We talked about that in a recent video, or maybe it hasn't been released yet. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we really so.
We got stuff recorded, so it's like I lose track. Anyway, I don't think it's going to be as necessary to take that. So yeah, but
I think I don't know. That's another thing I want to see more of. I want to know how that works. Like, give us specifics and give us examples. Who's a support character? Like, can they just join anyone? Like, I want to know, because if we get some more range on, like, especially like stuff joining chaplains. Like, I would love for like a Castellan or a lieutenant or something that has an offensive buff to join a chaplain. I mean, technically chaplains have an offensive buff, +1 to wound, but that's largely irrelevant for us. So I guess I'm thinking more of the Execrator. I'd love for something other than the Ancient to join the Execrator, like a Castellan would be amazing, because now we can get advance and charge and rerolls to hit, right? So I think that would be cool. So collecting chaplains is a sub niche of the hobby. Yes, it is. So
that's a good question. Will our leaders finally lead Blade Guard? I mean, they did it with the Blood Angels, right? And they made them ridiculously powerful. So it's possible that would be a nice turn, because I love our Sword Brethren, but the Blade Guard do have the durability aspect that cannot be ignored with that 4+. Plus, the models are ridiculously cool. I remember, was it 9th edition they released those? I think it was in the box set. Maybe 8th.
Indominus.
Indominus, yep. So I remember all of us drooling over Warhammer community website. Look at that! Oh, they're meant to be Black Templars.
Yeah.
They basically do look like Black Templars, and they still have that awesome Templar look. All these other chapters have kind of encroached upon us. I believe they even were painted in Black Templars colors originally as well.
They had one painted in Black Templar colors. Although there was also uproar about that, because they painted him in the standard black and white shoulder pads instead of the Sword Brethren shoulder pads. And they're like, no, they can be either. And now they've kind of, the lore that they put in our book has given us a new rank amongst the Templars. It's no longer just initiate.
Controversy. It was still Black Templar colors.
Right. True. But I do like that veteran role, making Sword Brethren even more special. So I think that works. But Sword Bros, they need another attack. Like, there's no reason that they should be 3 attacks, especially when frickin' Victrix are 5 attacks. It's absurd, and ours are 3. Come on. That's dumb. So
I won't lie. So I we're content creators. We're players just like everyone else. So we watch other content creators and kind of see what they think about different things. So I was watching the Art of War discussion about armored spear tip, and I think it was John that wanted to say, "Oh yeah, I could play some sword brethren in there and do them really good in the Black Templars." And I don't remember who was with him, but he was like, "You mean Victrix Guard? Victrix Guard? Victrix Guard? You want to play with Ultramarines? Victrix Guard?" And I was just like, wanted to be like, why not Black Templars? Why not?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do with them, and we're gonna go over that as well. Don't
Oh,
you worry. But I just got a little annoyed because like the default doesn't have to be Victrix Guard every single time. It's like, come
well,
on, seriously.
when they're overtly still busted, you know, it is what it is. And honestly, the Art of War guys are great, and they're really good 40k players. But something that I've noticed over time with them, and it's not a knock, it's just how it is if it's not overtly busted, they don't focus on it. Black Templars have never been overtly really powerful. We've had some really good things here and there, but just collectively as an army, they've never been like, we've never had a unit like Victrix Guard, right? Or stuff like that. So it doesn't get focused on because it's, their mindset is, can I win a GT with this? Can I win Worlds with this? And their dedication to Black Templars is not there. So I think they have an in-house painted BT army, but I don't know what it consists of. I mean, I know they must because I think they've played games with it. On
John has
various,
the army.
yeah. So, but that's okay because we have David Anderson, and
Yeah, shout out to him.
he's gonna rep us.
He, for those that have not heard, giving them some free sponsorship right here. But Art of War does have streaming RTT that's going to be coming up, and our friend David Anderson, who's been on the channel many times, is repping the Black Templars for us on that.
Yep.
He won't let us know how he did because they've already done all the games.
Yeah.
But I think that's going out in the next month or so, all of those games. So if you want to watch some high competitive gameplay,
Yeah.
that'll be one of those options for you to do.
Yeah, exactly.
One of these years we'll get the studio set up for Implausible Nature and we can start getting some competitive games in person. But until then, we kind of have to rely on David.
Yeah. Or TTS.
or TTS.
So
speaking of which, we got to finish our game.
Oh yeah. That now the points have changed like twice. So
I do agree. There was a comment earlier.
Go ahead.
Comment earlier about being a chaplain detachment, and I know that Wrathful Procession is supposed to be the chaplain detachment.
Well, it has litanies. That's the rule, is litanies. But it doesn't. It has literally one thing in the entire detachment that's chaplain based, and that's a single enhancement.
Yeah, I would love to have a chaplain detachment.
I mean, that's Companions of Vehemence.
That's really kind of
that's the chaplain
without specifically calling them out and saying, "Hey, chaplains." I would love to have.
Yeah, but then that's just Wrathful Procession. I mean, like, either they're gonna get called out and it'll be the chaplain detachment, or they're not, and that's Wrathful Procession. I mean, it's not. You can't have your cake and eat it too, Bobby.
Yes, I can.
It's either gonna be chaplains or it's not.
Yes, I can. So, I mean, yes, you have companions is the thing where they call it out. But do you really take a bunch of chaplains in it? No, you don't. You take like an execrator or two, and then that's
Well, it's chaplains and GDCRs. I do think GDCR stock has gone way down, no doubt, because Vice First is it sucks now on a character. It's not it's now an offensive ability, so just having it natively is not that great. I will say, at least based on what I've seen and what they've said so far, surge move stock also way down because now if that's the only combat, your opponent's going to swing into you first. So so yeah, I think having a Judiciar with Crusader block could potentially be a thing because now when they surge into a unit, you'll get fights first. So that's something that I think they could be used for. But yeah, stock way down on them. Um, I'd like to get a unique chaplain data sheet as they fill a different role in our chapter. I mean, we have the Execrator. He's a chaplain. He doesn't really have any offensive buffs other than the advance and charge. I wish he had. Because what's his other ability? Something about like a. I don't even know. That's how bad it is. It's like a battle shock test or something.
Mhm.
Execrator. Execrator abilities. If they were destroyed, if units, one or more enemy units were destroyed as a result of those attacks, each enemy unit within 6 inches of this model must take a battle shock test. See, that's garbage. Let's get rid of that and give him, I don't know, something. Plus one AP or plus one AP when he charges, when they charge. Something like that. He needs some kind of offensive buff.
I mean, that would be cool.
Because right now, stinky. And not plus one to wound. Because we don't need plus one to wound. So,
Yeah, you would think that they would know because it's a Black Templar's unique model that they wouldn't slap on +1 to wound on Chaplain that's unique to us. They would do something else
right.
because you know that the vow interacts with it. That would be kind of stupid for them to do. But I mean, I've seen GW do other things before. So
Yeah.
um,
Or
yeah, there was.
or make it like a dual ability. Make it focused on like, hey, it's plus one to wound, or if accept any challenge is active, it's this instead. It's plus one AP when you charge instead. Right? Something like that. That way you could still use him outside of our vow with a plus one to wound. But honestly, I'd just rather have a static other ability like plus one AP on the charge.
So kind of thinking about 11th edition and us, kind of getting to our topic a little bit here. So what do I think our armies are going to be like? So we've gotten several new detachments out there. Like obviously, armored spear tip is going to be something that people are going to experiment with. Um, it's been kind of hyped up a lot. I think it is very strong. But I have to agree with Kirk a little bit here is because it's so elite that you can counter it, but it is very difficult for our current meta lists to really kind of deal with right now. Because right now we're all running Bastion. A lot of them are going to be the big blob units, and it's very hard for us to deal with 2 Land Raider Redeemers and potentially a Storm Raven coming on the board with several blobs.
Yeah.
So are you going to be able to screen them? Yes, maybe. But one of them is going to be scouting. One of them is going to be coming in off of reserves, and you have the Storm Raven coming in on starting the game in hover mode, basically going anywhere it wants to go. And then if you kill it, then it just drops units after it makes a normal move and gets in your deployment zone. I think it's a tough matchup for us in the mirror running Bastion as it currently is played. Now, if it was MSU Bastion, I think it's okay. because then we are able to screen appropriately. But with that being said, how does it translate into 11th edition? I think with the rules as it currently states are going to shift even further towards MSU in 11th edition, just because of the way how terrain works. And you basically get that shooting immunity until it does something. That's going to allow us to spread across the board, and it's going to make a lot of other armies want to do the same. So I think having less units is going to be a detriment.
Yeah. I mean, generally, less units is a detriment anyway, especially when they're, you know, big, costly, not all that durable. I mean, Land Raiders are not all that durable, given, I mean, Fire Dragons will delete them in one shooting turn. And you can't stack strats anymore going into 11th, so
Yep.
no adding like smoke and armor of contempt to the same Land Raider to help prevent that. So, um,
You notice how Armor Contempt is making its comeback.
yeah, I noticed they keep putting it in there. I'm gonna be honest. This is a hot take, but in 11th edition, they just need to give blanket Marine infantry armor of contempt again, because maybe even the tanks too. Just Marines though, like not Sisters, not Guard, not all these other armies they gave it to back in the day. And before everyone jumps on me and is like, "It was so broken," no, it wasn't. Was it annoying for our opponents? Sure, absolutely, but it actually made that's the like one of the only times in recent memory that Marines felt like Marines, that they felt durable, and especially with cover being -1 to hit now, I think that opens the door for something like that to be okay, because Marines are just cannon fodder now. Like, I mean, we're running 60, 70 Marines in a list, and they just die in droves because literally everything in the game is AP2 and 2 damage, and strength 5 or higher. So they're hitting us on threes, we're wounding us on threes, and we have a 33% chance to save or die. So with no feel no pains left, Marines are just so squishy right now. It's unbelievable. So, um, so yeah,
And that's why a lot
that's
of people are
that's my hot
clamoring
take.
for Sword Brethren to either have more attacks or invols or something, because really you kill something and then they get shot.
Yeah,
So
3 wound Marines
that's
aren't really. I mean, they're slightly more durable, but 2 wounds is basically meaningless on a Marine body now. Like we're paying for this extra wound that we almost never get to use. And sure, like yeah, there are chaff guns out there, but most of the time when you're getting shot with that stuff, it's incidental fire. It's not. Yeah, I'm gonna kill you with all these damage one guns. Like they're not expecting that. So yeah. Um,
at least our marshal will be still alive. He could do some things after he's dead. But I do think that kind of getting back to 11th edition here, because you can kind of look at the missions that have been kind of released, and you see some of the things that are available on those missions. It takes a lot of units to score. Um, for example, there's one that is requiring a lot of actions, the Death Trap primary mission. Um,
yeah, I don't think that one's gonna be for us, to be honest.
well, yes, but I'm just using that as an example for the disruption. So that one's, I mean, there's a lot of units that are necessary for that particular thing. Punishment, obviously, that one's a little bit more easy. So I do think that we're going to have more units. Yeah, you can guarantee Gladius and Stormlance and all of them are going to be disappearing in the new codex. So I would not be surprised if they start doing the mini detachments in the codexes or the codices. Um, so
What
you
do you
can
mean?
start doing the mini maxes. So right now you have full scale detachments, full rules, for everything. I would not be surprised if they say, okay, well, we're going to put a bunch of 1 and 2 point detachments into the codices instead of having 3.1s
Oh, I see what you're
in
saying.
there
Yeah.
so that you can do the mix and matches.
I'll be interested to see what the existing detachments are going to come in as, because I don't think for our detachments that are Black Templars, a single one of them is really even a two. like, but I have a feeling that they're all going to be at least two, simply because that's GW. Because they're going to think, oh, it's you've got all these buffs. No, we don't. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
So I think that's one of those things that we will have to look out for. I agree. Things like I could see that Godhammer could be like a 2 or a 3, but VTF or COV definitely are at most 2. Because
Yeah.
Wrathful, that thing is maybe
So
a 2.
so these are my issues with our detachments. Wrathful has an amazing detachment rule. Uh, really good. The movement buff is insane. The +1 tough is okay. The what's the third one?
I'm sorry,
What's the
I was
third?
reading the comments.
The what's the third? The litany and Wrathful. It's the movement buff, the +1 tough, and
Uh,
what's the something advance in action?
Give me a sec.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Um, so
It's been a while
full
since I
profession.
played it.
5 up invul. 5 up invul versus
Yep,
shooting.
shooting.
Shooting only, right? So it's okay. But in any case, the detachment rule really good. The enhancements are okay. I would like to have seen an enhancement or a strat that gives us like the strat that changes the litany. It should just give us an additional one. It shouldn't change it. It should just give us an additional one. The strats in that detachment are awful, absolutely terrible. There's like one good one besides Armor of Contempt. Godhammer has some good strats. Its entire problem it relies on transports, and once the transports are dead, you have no detachment rule. So you got to run a lot of transports, which is also expensive, right? Which cuts into your MSU, or the ability to run, not necessarily MSU, but your ability to run, you know, 12 to 14 units. It cuts into that, right?
Yeah,
Also,
but I feel like every army has something like that now. Like Drakari has that, World Eaters have that,
yeah,
Eldar have that.
yeah, true, but Drukari have ultra cheap transports, and nobody
I
runs
mean,
the World
70
Eater one,
points.
huh?
They're 70 points, the cheapest one, or 85 if you take a Raider.
Yeah,
So it's about the same as us.
yeah,
It's
um,
the difference is the units that you're putting in them are cheaper.
that's true. So, so yeah, um, the the other thing though is it's that's interesting. I was trying to look up how many is a impulsor? How many points is an impulsor? Is it 100? I think it's
No,
100.
90, I believe.
90. It doesn't say in the app anymore. That's weird. Oh, that's
85
why.
points.
Okay. 85. Yeah, so it's a little more expensive. Anyway, um, the other problem with Godhammer is our premier melee unit gets zero benefit because they already hit on twos. So there's no provision for them. So it's a detachment that gives you a bonus to hit when you get out of a transport, but only units that aren't Sword Brethren, which we want to run Sword Brethren, they're our best melee unit, aren't they don't benefit at all. Unless you're going into something with -1 to hit, which how often does that happen? So, so yeah, VTF. uh, would be much better if it were more generic. Like, it's about ancients, right? Sure, cool.
Yep.
But it only is about ancients. If it were like characters and then ancients got you something extra, right? So it was a character unit, you got whatever the baseline is or something. You got something for it being a character unit. And then if it were an ancient unit, you get an extra thing, right? That would be okay because now if we don't want to run ancients, we're still getting something, right? COV, again, the chaplains are not really buffing our units, and they can't be
No.
combined with anything else. So you're losing a lot of melee power by not having, and you lose the detachment rule, for, well, yeah, the detachment rule applies to everything, but you're losing some of these strat access. Some of the really good strats are chaplain or GTCR only, right? So that's a problem, in my opinion. And then
Give me
let's,
one sec. My youngest is up. So.
yep, I'll just keep rambling about detachments. And then yeah, so I mean, that's all four of our detachments. So that's kind of my problem with our current detachments. And you know, character give sword brother and sustain one, hits one when they disembark. Maybe. I'd rather it be. I don't know. I don't know what it should be. But plus one, like they need something different, obviously. Or it should just say if your unit already hits on twos, then you get something else. So, so yeah, you think all 10th edition times would be 3 points? I don't know. I think, I think it's possible that that could be the case. But if it isn't, they're all going to be at least two. I seriously doubt any of them will be a one, even if plenty of them deserve to be a one, because they described like the ones as hyper specialized, focusing on one unit type. Okay, well that's Companions of Vehemence, and that's Wrath or not Wrathful Procession, but Vindication Task Force. And I mean, both of those have good strats, but I don't know what the strats are going to look like too. Like, are these one detachments only going to have like three strats, or are they also going to have six? That's another question that we don't know the answer to. So, so yeah, why not just give bros back four attacks and their old rule, but don't let it apply to characters? Um, they're not going to let us have damage three weapons. Give them four attacks, yes. Uh, I think a better rule for bros is ignore mods, including their to let them ignore damage mods. Would be huge because now they're a threat to everything that's minus one damage. Do I see 1 point detachments having two strats and 2 points having four? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know how they're going to do that. They're probably they probably will have less strats. I cannot imagine them being original and having good strats, six good strats for 70 plus detachments that are going to be new. So I probably think lesser ones may have a minimum of three. I don't know. I don't think that we have no usable detachments. I think it depends on what level of play you're playing at, to be honest. We have some decent detachments, and I mean, yes, it's a generic Space Marine detachment, but Bastion honestly is so good for Black Templars. I love it. I think it's I don't know if it's better than Gladius, but I think that it's at least good enough or close enough to Gladius, while also still feeling a lot more in theme with what how we want to run our lists. So So yeah. Um, Someone mentioned Land Raider Crusaders earlier. Land Raider Crusaders definitely need some help. Our extra ability on ours is nice, but the guns are so awful, to your point, that I think they need to. I think they need to rework the assault cannon in general and the hurricane bolters, or they need to drastically drop the points on the Land Raider Crusader. Like, it needs to be like 180, 190 if they're going to keep the guns the same. So, there's my Land Raider Crusader hot take. I've used Hemans to some success. Pair it with sticky objective rather than +1 to wound. Chaplain on a bike with +1 AP enhancement is very lethal in the charge. Yeah, see, Companions is tough because it's very, very high skill cap. You have you have a lot of like intricate movement things that you can do. It's actually been a minute since I looked at it, so let me go back and look at it. So you can reroll advance and charges, strats. We're talking about companions of Vehemence, and honestly, so this brings up, speaking of 11th, with the way that melee works now in 11th. I think that companions will get less difficult to use, but it's been a minute since I looked at the strats, so I'm gonna go through them real quick here. So you've got Devout Push, which is 6-inch pile in or consolidate. That's gonna be super powerful now if you can plan it right. Getting double pile ins, 12 inches of movement is absurd. So you'll do your pile in, get potentially wrap around the unit because now you don't have to base. That's a really subtle change, but a super important one for 11th is not having to base, but only having to end within 1 inch, because you'll still need to end closer to the. I think it said, I don't even think it said the closest model. I think it says just end closer to the unit when you pile in, which means you can swing around the unit and still end closer because then you can end up in base. And then if that unit gets wiped, you get a whole nother 6 inches that you can just go. They will have to rewrite Hearts Hardened to Duty, because currently it says until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a consolidation move, it does not need to end that move closer to the closest enemy model or the closest enemy unit if Suffer Not is active. So they'll probably need to rewrite that one. We don't care about precision in melee. Chaplain or Judiciar, that's just reroll hits, or reroll wounds rather. Oh, yeah. Heresy Begets. That's like a surge move basically, which is no longer as good as it was. And then Dread Crusaders is garbage. So yeah, I think companions will get a little easier to use. I can't wait for GW to rewrite Smokescreen with the new cover changes and 1 CP effective -2 to hit will be broken for the first month. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that would be effective -2 to hit. But how many things have smoke? It's not like everything has smoke. You know, we have a couple infantry units that have it, and we have our tanks mostly have it. Do you know, Bob,
And
what who has smoke as far as Xenos armies?
most of them, like for the Drakari and Elder, they have to take an upgrade
No, okay.
on their unit. Usually it's their sergeant.
Kirk points out that yeah, core strats will change almost certainly. They're going to change smoke, and I doubt the core strats are going to remain the same. So we'll see what happens with that. Remember Eldar running around with -2 to 3 to hit on the whole army. Yeah, that was during the dark times. They even had some BS where you couldn't hit them on. They were invisible. They had some spell where they were invisible and you could only hit them on a 6+. It was ridiculous. So, other than Centurions, what other units will be gone in 11th?
Anything
Pretty
firstborn.
tacticals. Well, we already know Vanguard vets are getting redone. Tacticals are going to be gone. Devastators are going to be gone. Centurions are going to be gone. I can't see the Rhino leaving. I could see the
No.
Razorback going, because it's there's already an equivalent, right? I don't know what they're going to do with the Rhino. If it'll just be able to transport anything. Well, not anything, but like tactics models, which will be really interesting because now you'll be able to chuck a 10-man Crusader squad into a Rhino again,
Yeah,
which
I think that's what they'll do is once they put out the Primaris scale Rhino, then they'll say, oh, it can transport 10.
I love how you said Primaris scale, as if anything in 40K is to scale, especially the
Yeah, I
vehicles.
know. But but you know what I meant. They'll
Yeah,
upsize it a little bit.
yeah,
Just be like, oh, there's more room in it now. So
yeah. But yeah, I think if can stuff a Crusader squad and a Rhino, the return of the Rhino Rush. Let's go.
I would also keep your eye on even some Primaris units that may not necessarily be well used or hard to get a hold of. Those might be something that might be.
I've heard rumors that the ATV is going, but I can't see that honestly. I think it's too new a kit. But having said that, GW also axed my entire Stormcast army in AOS, so you know, who knows? Who
If I'm
knows?
being completely honest, I do feel like the Space Marine line could use some cut down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a lot of the things that were firstborn are now upsized, like Terminators. Um, as much as I love them and I want to love them, I don't know where flyers really kind of fit into the game anymore, just based on how they've been in written into the rules lately. Now, especially Space Marine ones. It's Space Marine flyers have really kind of not done anything. They don't have very many weapons,
Nope.
so they don't aren't really overpowered in that way. I know before
They're
in
way too
previous editions
expensive.
they've been very hard to kill, and that's been a thing. But they're way too expensive for the weaponry you give. They don't have any OC, so they can't really impact the objective game. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I could totally see all of the flyers going away. Maybe not the Storm Raven, but all of the other flyers for sure. Like nobody's running the. I don't even know what they are. The Talon and the
Oh,
Hawk.
I love the Storm Talon. I love the model, but it's not good. If it was 100 points, then I would take one,
I'm in the
maybe
other
two.
camp. I hate both those models so much because they
Oh,
have this like little chibi like, oh look at these cute little wings and this cute stubby little tail and we're just a little chibi Space Marine flyer. That thing could never like my suspension of disbelief is really high for 40K because 40K bullshit, right? Bricks of like a Thunderhawk is a brick, right? So my suspension of disbelief is pretty high, but I mean, it just I don't know. It looks like a chibi version of a flyer, and I hate it. So I even converted my. I have a Storm Talon that I never finished building, but I converted it to have the tail boom of a what you call it, Storm Raven. So it looks more like a helicopter without the helicopter blades, which I think makes it look much better. But it'll probably never see the light of day now.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an issue. So that one I'm actually interested. They haven't previewed that in in any of the stuff. I really want to know how flyers work in 11th edition. That's probably my biggest thing. I want to see how in each game, like it's a unit type that really just is underutilized right now. And I know there's been times the last couple editions, like the orcs, like just dominating everyone with their flyer. Are you
No,
muted again, Alex?
shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. Y'all cannot hear me?
Apparently not. But I really want to know how flyers impact the game. I would love to use them if they're going to stay. If you're going to keep the models, make them useful, make
Yeah.
them. I mean, just by virtue of having OC0, I think that they should be drastically less points. So,
Yeah.
like the Storm Raven, you can chop 100 points off the Storm Raven simply because it's an OC0 and it doesn't have very many weaponry to really impact the game. If you think about it, it has basically the same weaponry as an impulsor does, minus the missiles,
Yeah. Well,
and it's
if they get rid of
200
marine
points more.
flyers, I'm okay with that. What I would not be okay with is don't get rid of my Doom Croissant. The scythes for Necrons are just one of the coolest flyers in the game. They need to be better, especially the Doom scythe. But yeah, don't get rid of that one. I like that one. So, oh, he was watching earlier when I was muted. But I'm in Spanish. No habla español.
I used to be able to speak Spanish. Sorry,
No,
I'm no longer fluent.
I never took
What happens when you
Spanish.
work in a restaurant for 8 years and my whole kitchen crew is Spanish? You have to learn.
I took French. Parlez-vous français? Yeah. So, but in any case, yeah, flyers. Honestly, like they don't really have a place right now in 40K because they're either like too good if you make them more durable and harder to hit, or they just suck because they're too expensive.
Yeah. I mean, there are some armies, like you mentioned, Doom Scythe is really good. There are some armies that do make use of them that are really good. Um, so Drukari,
Yeah.
prior to the release of the new codex, their Void Void Raven's bomber was very good. You also have the Doom Scythe. There's some armies that do make use of them because they have weaponry that matter to the battle.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just overall the design just doesn't mesh well. So I'm kind of curious how that will work. So that's my biggest one that I think I'm kind of looking at. I would be okay if they were just skimmers. That would be okay. Um, the whole hover fly thing is just kind of a misnomer, and I think they're still overpriced for the sins of 6th and 7th edition. So
Yeah. Well, Terminator's dropping points. Their guns suck. No, probably not. Stormbolters do need a boost, in my opinion, because you know a handful of AP4 or Strength 4 AP0 shots is pretty garbage. In addition, where everything has AP, so they either need like honestly they should have devastating wounds
I was gonna say devastating wounds,
and
and
four shots
or
all the
give
time.
them the and give them the impulse or the intercessor rule.
Just make them 4 shots all the time. 4 shots all the time and dev wounds. I mean, that's where the hog comes in. I mean, it doesn't have any AP, but it has dev wounds and a buttload of shots. So yeah, make them make them dev wounds. Do the same thing with hurricane bolters. We talked about land raiders earlier. Do the same thing with hurricane bolters, except give them an AP. Make them like
I,
bolt rifles.
I don't know what you kind of were talking about with them. Honestly, I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for a really long time for the hurricane bolters. I think what they need to be, obviously, we should have the at least AP -1. But I think what they should have is anti-infantry 3+. And I think giving that to them would give them a little bit of a niche so that they can go into higher toughness things and
Yeah,
still be able to wound.
yeah, I could agree with that. And then the assault cannon needs something, um, because it's just completely outclassed by the Gatling cannons. I mean, they're better in every way. Um, so yeah, I think assault cannon needs something as well. But I like that idea for hurricane bolters. I was saying they either need a big buff in their weaponry, the Land Raider Crusaders, or they need to be like 180 points. So strength 6,
Yeah,
AP 1, sustain hits into infantry. Yeah, then they shouldn't be strength 6. AP 1, yes. Strength 6, no. Because they are just
I,
bolters.
yeah, because I feel like it's the mainstay weaponry, and then there's several models that's kind of like their thing. It's like the hurricane bolters. Like obviously there's the Crusader, you have the Storm Raven, but there's, if I remember right, there's several uh, guard tanks that have hurricane bolters.
I don't think so. They have stubbers. Guard tanks have
Oh,
heavy
maybe that's what it
stubbers.
was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was. But even still,
Centurions used to have them, but they'll be gone.
hot take there. Start shopping them.
Terminators can't be made more durable without making DA Knights crazy. They should be more killy, but AP 0 Strength 4 Bolter is P Shooter. Yes. Yes, I agree. The other problem with Terminators, well, number one, Dark Angel, the Deathwing Knights they're too much, in my opinion. But Terminators, I think, do need something. The problem is then all the Custodes players are going to be like, oh well, why are their Terminators, better than my infantry? So that's a whole
I
different
think
thing.
that's a problem across all of the armies, since there's what, I don't know, 20 factions now.
Yeah,
I don't even know. So like if you buff one thing, then something else is going to either be much stronger that can utilize that unit, or there's the complaints about, okay, well, in the lore this was supposed to be stronger than the Terminator. Why is that? And then I have to buff that other thing, and then it's just a
yeah,
snowball effect. So I understand why they haven't really buffed generic Space Marine Terminators, but they really need something. Because right now, there's, their weaponry is not great. Power fists don't do much. And I could even argue the same thing about Assault Terminators. You
I'm
get all
glad
these
they
Terminator,
buffed the Thunderhammers.
they do more
Yeah,
damage now, but I mean, there's no really good character that really buffs into them anymore, at least for us,
no,
because we get the +1 to wound anyway, so we don't really care
yeah. The
about
Ancient
the
is still the only
Chaplain.
one that actually buffs them in any kind of decent
So
way. Um, so So yeah, I gotta say. So speaking of the new detachments, we talked a little bit about those earlier. I gotta say, I was really excited that like drop pods were gonna be good again, and then I realized the detachment ability, doesn't apply to drop pods at all, and I was super disappointed. So
Yeah.
yeah, having a D6 Mooj out of a drop pod would have been amazing. We would have had the return of a drop pod army, and maybe not a full army,
I
but
I would have been first in line.
actually using drop pods. But yeah, sadly, I mean it's still a cool detachment, and we will do a deep dive on it. I think that one's going to be first on our list of the new detachments. Um, the other one, the Tank Aces one, I honestly does not. That just feels like Iron Hands to me. Doesn't feel like anything we would want to do because
Yeah, it looks fun.
yeah, I mean it looks okay. Um, I just I don't know. You certainly can run it as Templars, but it just doesn't feel like a Templar style detachment to me. So what buff everything? What are the rules writers doing all day anyway? Right.
There apparently is a lot of gameplay. So I'm not a playtester, but they do play a lot of games. So
I don't know about that. I'll be honest.
a lot of games.
I don't think anybody who writes the rules, or certainly not who writes the articles, plays 40K. Because some of the stuff that they say is just like, really, you think that was good? No. So yeah,
But a
I
lot of
think
those rules writers also are writing the lore too. So
Johnny, thank you for the super chat. You guys chat about Ceramite Sentinels yet? No, we have not. We will probably do a deep dive on those. Um, Definitely feels more like an Imperial Fist attachment because it wants you to stand still. Um, but I think Ceramite Sentinels will definitely have some good play in 11th, where you can move up into a ruin and position yourself uh, and not be able to be shot outside of 15, and then you can unleash hell the next turn. Um, so,
yeah,
so
I
yeah,
think Ceramite Sentinels is going to be very good in 11th, simply just because of how the terrain interacts with the rules. Um, the footprints are going to be a lot easier to get that, and being entrenched is going to be a lot more manageable than it is right now.
I do like the
Um,
hidden mechanic. So I think that will alleviate a lot of this L-shaped ruins nonsense, and first floor windows closed stuff won't need to be as prevalent. So I uh, I do really like the hidden mechanic that benefits us a lot. So Helbrecht and Gravis armor for 11th, Then I mean I guess you could Calgar him and allow him to lead anything, but I don't know. I'm fine. He doesn't need to cost any more points than he already does. Plus, his model is so sick. I love his model. Good morning, Clinty. Glad you were able to join us live. The strat plus the blood surge is mental. What strat are we talking about?
he's talking about Ceramite Sentinels.
Oh, okay. I haven't dug too deep in that. I read it once, but I didn't dig too deep in it. Um, Mainly because I was more interested in the armored spearhead one. So,
Well, it interacts around with the terrain pieces. As long as you're in a terrain piece, you can be an entrenched.
yeah.
Um, and that's where you really kind of get activated. So then you reroll a hit of one, or reroll a wound roll of one. So you get rerolls out of it if you're in the terrain pieces. So that's good. Um, and then there's obviously the the stratagems that work around being entrenched. There's some really good ones. Um, some shooting ones. So there's like augmented targeting gives you sustained hits 1 or lethal hits. And I believe if you are entrenched on that one, you get both of them. So that's pretty good. You got armor contempt. Let's see, you can get full rerolls against a character, monster, or vehicle unit. So I mean, there's some good, really good buffs in that. So we'll dig deeper into it because I honestly think that 11th edition, this is going to be a good one for us because of just how the terrain. There's so much terrain, and because of the footprints now, it's really going to be very easy to be in a terrain piece. I think it's going to be much better. And I'm going to talk about that specifically when we do that detachment deep dive, because we do know a good chunk of the rules for the terrain, at least. If you look at that, now we talked about earlier in the stream, if you're looking at the board, the sample board with the terrain on it, that thing is like chock 70% filled with terrain with the different
I don't think it's any more
size.
dense than current terrain setups, to be honest with you.
Well, they're ruin setups now. So like you have the ruin setups and then your first floor blocked. Now the terrain pieces are smaller and there's more of it spread out.
Is there more of it?
Yeah, it certainly seems
Let me
so.
pull the companion Warhammer community. Um, do you guys play Horus Heresy? No. Some cool models, it's a cool era, but I absolutely hate the 7th edition rule set. So, not something I'm interested in. There's some really neat tanks though. Karen is one of my favorite tanks. All right, chapter approved. Let's look at the. Come on. Train layouts. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, there's definitely more terrain
1,
in the game.
2, 3. So that's just layout 1, just as an example, is 12 pieces of terrain. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Just 1
8,
second.
9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, there's more pieces of terrain. I think the pieces of terrain are smaller, but there's definitely more pieces of terrain. But I'm okay with that because you have a lot of these skinny barricade looking pieces which we don't really have in 10th edition, and I think that's pretty cool. Any rumor on how they will fix flyers? We were talking about that. I think at least Space Marine flyers might be one of the things that goes the way of the dodo bird because nobody really uses them outside maybe the Storm Raven. They flyers are tough because they don't just they're either busted or they are terrible. We were talking about flyers briefly. Yeah, so you're right. There are more pieces of terrain, I think, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's 17 pieces of terrain, it looks like. Although in the 2 maps they gave us, the 2 big triangles are combined into one giant piece in the middle. So there is more terrain. However, the some of these pieces are like skinny pieces that are only like 2 inches wide. So
Yeah, but if you're in it like at all, based on how the detachment is phrased, you can be entrenched. So it's spread
yeah,
out more, and I feel like that's going to be really strong
yeah,
or much easier to get the benefits. So I think that's going to be on the radar. So good
Yeah.
call out there on that, Johnny. So there is reading up a little bit. Yeah, nothing now how we're going to fix the flyer yet. We kind of talked about that.
Hmm.
I wish I knew, because that would be one of the ways that I would love to bring my Storm Talons and my Storm Ravens out. I have two Storm Talons and a Storm Raven.
Besides
That
the
would be kind of
Storm
fun.
Talon that I have that's not finished, the only flyer I have is a Storm Eagle, which is sadly Legends. Which makes me sad because the excruciating amount of pain that that model put me through to build it. Oh my god. I do not wish that upon anyone. It's a gorgeous model. I do not wish that upon anyone. It's the worst model ever to build.
Clinty, you asked about the points econ going into 11th. I think right now, based on the everything that we have heard, there's not going to be a ton of change as far as that goes. So I think right now we're in a fairly decent place. There's a few things that probably could go down a little bit, like Helbrick, Grimmaldus. Um,
But not a lot. Like, I don't think
yeah,
anything is wildly overpriced. Um, I think Crusaders should go down another 10 points on both the big squad and the small squad. Um, just because uh, I think they need to be cheaper than Assault Intercessors because literally half the squad has a 4 plus save and worse guns. So, same number of melee attacks, but uh, they have a strong buff. Assault Intercessors do. Um, so I think Crusaders need to go down another 10 points. I think they're fine where they are. They do really well on Bastion, which I love because I love Crusader squads. But yeah, I think they could stand to go down a little bit. Helbert may be down like 5 points or something. Um, so they need to unnerf our uh, Castellan. So
I never played, so gotcha. You're talking about Horus Heresy. Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've never played it. I haven't really dug too terribly deep into the game. I know it was based off of 7th edition when it originally came out, but the big thing for me is the Marine on Marine is I know that there's a lot of different rules for each of the different factions that make it seem like there's different themes, but it's yeah, I wouldn't want to play Marines against Marines
all the time.
every game. That's my biggest thing.
Any word on points coming back to weapon upgrades or war gear? Uh, yes, isn't. Um, I don't think we're going to see war gear have points outside of stuff where they make a whole last new data sheet. Like crisis suits now have 3 data sheets instead of 1 because you know it's they got all different weapons, so they got to price them differently. I think that's the only way that we're going to really see that. And to be honest, I don't like warrior points. It felt like when we had warrior points that you'd be like, all right, well, I got 15 extra points. Cool. I'm gonna give this squad, this 2 point upgrade, and then my unit went up 10 points. Well, who cares? I'll just take this upgrade off. Right? I don't really need it anyway. It was just extra. So your army is functionally still the same. I appreciate that now when a unit needs to be nerfed, you can raise it by 10 points. And now that causes a domino effect of that you may have to completely swap out a whole different unit in order to make your army list work. So it makes you rethink your list entirely versus just like I'll just take this one little upgrade off that I didn't really need anyway, and my army is functionally still the same. Um, so which then led to it getting nerfed again and then being overpriced and now no longer worth it. So, um, so yeah. Now that being said, they did say that there are going to be enhancements, which they called them something else. I can't remember what they called them, but basically enhancements for some of these new detachments that are going to be you can buy them for a unit. Like if you don't have characters in that detachment, you can buy them for a unit up to 3 times and pay the points each 3 times. I think that concept is really cool. We'll see where they go with it and what those look like, um, because that could, if they're not careful, they could quickly get out of hand and be utterly busted. But yeah, so so yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at as far as points and um, war gear in 11th. If they made Horus Heresy stuff playable in 40K again, they would sell so much more. I don't think they're really concerned about that. The point is that having, like, especially because 99% of the Horus Heresy stuff is Space Marines, um, it makes it so much harder to balance all that stuff. And you introduce, I mean, Space Marines are already bloated as a faction. We have more data sheets than anybody else. Um, and especially when you consider the divergent chapters like us. So they just don't want to deal with that, and I'm fine with that. Um, as much as I'd love to put my Storm Eagle on the table. Is it bad to use my Horse Heresy Land Raiders for 40K? If it's like the same size as the 40K one, which I'm pretty sure they are, unless it's like a Proteus Land Raider, yeah, that's fine. Um, You talk about like the Mark II Phobos ones with the little like old school, sponsons sort of built into the side instead of, yeah, those are the same kit, I think. So yeah, if it's the same size as the 40K version, who cares? As long as it's the same size, that's really all that matters.
So we got about 28 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So
Give
what
us
do
your
you
burning
have? Well, like,
questions.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff about 11th edition that hasn't been released yet, but we do know some stuff. What do you have with Black Templars and us? So I kind of talked about what I think is going to be good. Um, Being able to hide, I think, will be boding very well for us in 11th edition. I think
Melee
that
stock going up.
MS, MSU is going to be kind of the key there, based on what we have. But it really will depend on what our detachments get assigned for their style. So is it going to be purge the foe? Is it going to be take and hold, disruption, etc.? So, I mean, if Bastion Task Force is purge the foe, then I don't think it'll have any issues with uh, staying foot slogging 20-man squads, because based on their at least the one card, it's go kill them. So
Yeah.
not a ton of actions, but we still have secondaries to contend with. So you still have to have some options for that.
Yeah, and they said secondaries are going to still be um, largely the same. Um,
I
what
mean,
do they?
they've balanced them after over the last two editions. I think they've done a really good job of balancing them
Yeah, I
and
really
making them.
like secondaries to be honest. I think they mentioned something. Pulling up the article now about secondaries. Oh, I know what they said. Now you have no. Your maximum was not 2. You just keep it if you didn't score it.
Yeah, that
Um,
is a really cool
that's a
effect.
huge change, and it helps to mitigate some of the I got screwed on draws, right? So like Now, there you can't just like pile them all up and suddenly score them all at the end of I think they're still capped at 15 points per turn. Okay, tactical objectives when we change instead of only having two at any given time, you'll now draw two objectives every turn and keep hold of the ones you haven't scored yet. So you don't need to worry about an earlier draw scuppering your late game plans. Um, it's worth noting that each primary mission has a total cap of 45 VP per game and a cap of 15 per battle round, with the same for secondary missions. So yeah, so you're still going to only score a max of 15 points per secondary, which, depending on how they are, that's about three, right? Most of them, if you do like the max thing, it's like 4 to 5. Um, but yeah, it gives you an opportunity to be like, well, this doesn't help me now, but maybe in 2 turns I can do this. So I like that
I
change a
I
lot.
I will say that it makes it a lot more difficult to prevent your opponent from succeeding on their secondaries, because if they just have a grip full of cards, especially like starting turn 3, so they're running 3 or 4 objectives because maybe they didn't score well on the first couple hands, because you're drawing 2 per turn every turn, you're going to have a total of 10 cards
Yeah,
throughout the game. It makes it a lot more difficult to prevent points from your opponent, so you're going to see a lot more high scoring games. So you're really going to be relying on preventing your opponent from scoring in the primary.
yeah,
So that's going to be really critical when you're building your list. So once you find out what your detachment uh, mission is classified as, look at your opponent's options for what they're going to be needing to score against you, and really kind of take that into account. I think that's going to be a critical piece of 11th edition, being able to list build with your opponent's missions in mind. Because if you don't, then it's going to be 91 points to 93 points, and are you going to be able to score those 2 extra points at the end of the game?
yeah,
Because I think we're going to see a lot more high scoring, more even games as a result. Which, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that, because I like having to go into turn 5 and find out where am I going to get those 6 points to squeak out the point
yeah,
win. But I just something to be aware of competitively. I think you're really going to have to be taking a look at those opponents' 4 mission points, or those 4 different cards that your opponent can take a look at. And then once 11th edition is live, we will do that. So we will go through those. We'll
yeah,
pull up the detachments, our primary ones that we're looking to probably use, and take a look at what our opponent's going to be using against us and what they're going to be needing, to kind of give you some pointers on what we can do to prevent those points, because that's really where we're going to get our points. Because right now it's you have some options when they're only having 2 secondaries on the board. You're like, okay, well, they need to be quarters and maybe they need to push the center objective. Okay, well, keep them off the center objective. That takes away those points, and then either they have to discard it and do something else or whatnot. So now it's like, okay, well, they keep it, so you're going to be spread all the way across the board. Try and prevent 4 different secondary objectives. I mean, it's going to be a lot harder. So
yeah. I think it also is because the primary objectives are going to be different for each player. I
mhm.
think it makes it harder for you to uh, just run away with a game. So you'll have more opportunity to come back and score. And I like that there will be games will be closer because if you get bad draws and some bad luck at the beginning of a game and you get blown out because of it, that's not fun for anyone. So I would I would rather um, I would rather have an opportunity where it's going to be more competitive, and allowing it to do that via good tactical play and understanding what your opponent needs to do and trying to prevent him from doing that while also, or him or her, excuse me, while trying to achieve what you need to do, introduces a lot more depth of tactics, and I like that. Um, you know, I think to a lot lesser extent than it used to be years ago, but there's still probably some players, and these players are probably players that are like mid-board players. Um, not necessarily the top tournament people are trying to do this because it won't work against a good player, but players that just try to bully their opponent, right, and just kill as much as possible, and then score points because they don't have units on the board to score points. I think that's going to make it a lot harder when you have like a fistful of cards that you can score 15 points a turn on. Something else that I like is the the second battle onwards when you're scoring primary. According to the card, so unless the mission pack says something different, both players now score at the end of your turn during the fifth battle round, not just the second player. I really like that as well because there have been plenty of times when going first, you're maybe in a position to do something on turn five. You're usually down to a few units by turn five, and maybe you could go grab an objective, but you're just not on it right now because of whatever reason. So, being able to score at the end of the battle round for primary for both players, I think evens up the advantage that second has. Um, so so yeah, but I really like these. I feel like these new mission objectives are pretty cool, and they offer multiple ways to score points for each different one that we've seen. I don't like the Death Trap one, but that's just because that's not how I like to play 40k. That's not my style of play. But I'm sure there are armies that will like that type of play. Um, that have like 15, 16 units that can do all those actions. That's not what
Yeah,
I want
Gene
to be doing.
Stealers come to mind on that. Like that's
Even
going to be a
Drukari.
tough,
Drukari can
tough
spam a
game.
lot of units. So yeah. But I think the new mission rules and secondary objectives, the way that they're changing it from what they've revealed, um, is an improvement for sure. Any word of getting rid of the Chaos Demons Index? No idea. I hope not. Because it's our little secret. I have a Tzeentch Demons army. To be fair, I had those models anyway because of the Silver Tower board game. So I only needed really to buy like a couple of big birds to fill it out and make it an actual 40k army. So yeah, that's why I have a Tzeentch army.
EC's +2 to charge means he's one of the few units in the game that is guaranteed to make the minimum 3-inch charge.
Good
I
point.
mean, that is a good call out there.
Good point. Yeah. Also,
And being lone op and hidden, I think, is going to be a really big combination.
well, also too, the way charges have been changed is now his unit just gets to roll and see what the roll is before, like maybe you've got a character unit that's further away, but another unit that's closer. Now you can just roll and see. All right, well, even with my +2, I couldn't make the character unit because I rolled low, but I can still get here, right? So I think that change benefits him greatly as well because it gives him that many more options. Or if you got a character unit that's far away and you spike a high roll, now you can really get out there. You know what I mean? So that kind of thing is cool. I would
Yeah, I
assume
think there's a.
the. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think there's a lot of play that we're going to be able to do, especially with the new terrain. I think that's the biggest thing for us in how it's going to impact our games is the terrain, the hidden, because all of us want to run close combat. That's just, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, there was the Iron Hand Templars for a while, simply because, hey, we had the best transports, we have the best rules for some of those things, so we made a Iron Hands good again. But most of us want to play close combat because that's the theme of the Black Templars. That's kind of like the style. Um, and I think this is really going to be one of those options that for 11th edition that's really going to be kind of good. Disappointingly, I really wanted to like the Vanguard veterans, but I really can't get behind it. That model is just lame.
Well, hopefully,
It,
I mean, there's still what, four other models to see for it, and then there'll probably be a multi-part kit. So hopefully, all that will be better. But yeah, he's kind of lame. As honestly, as long as the rules are good, I really don't care. And the model isn't ugly. He's not ugly. He's just boring. He's plain.
he,
I'm
he,
sure the third-party bits, will be able to definitely spruce them up and make them look very Templary with third-party bits. But if they do end up being very plain, as long as their rules are good, that's really what I care about.
yeah, the rules are going to be important. But I mean, it reminds me of the Indomitus Assault Intercessor kits with, with Havard blowing between his legs.
Yeah,
Which I mean, realistically, that's what would happen if you're running and on jump hack. But it, stylistically on a model, it's kind of doesn't
yeah.
really work.
I would assume the demons would be rolled into the CSM books like AOS. They are. They're already in those books. The problem is you can only run them in one detachment, and for the most part, those detachments are bad, and you can't take them all. I think there needs to remain an option where if I want to run an entire army of Zinch demons or whatever kind of demons, all demons should still remain a thing, not like 50% Thousand Suns and 50% Zinch demons. To me, that's not fun. Um, do you think there should be the time between editions should be longer? 3 years seems short. Yes, I do think it should be
I
longer.
do.
But the always remember that GW is a miniatures company first and foremost, and the game is secondary to that. So they want to sell miniatures and books, which apparently selling books is still profitable for them, which is why we don't have digital versions. So they want they have to keep they want to keep their hype train going and continue to do that. So because of that, we're never gonna see that, unfortunately. Do you fellows also play AOS any? I own two AOS armies. Now technically three, I guess. I haven't played AOS in a very long time. I was getting ready to get back into it, and then GW axed basically my entire Stormcast army. I was playing mostly Sacrosanct, or I had mostly Sacrosanct, and that's all Legends now. So that really kind of killed any motivation I had to get back into there. But I technically have Stormcast, I have Night Haunts, and those Zinj demons that I have can also be played in AOS.
I have Sylvaneth. That's what you get from me.
Elves. Why am I not surprised?
I mean, they're wood. They're not wood elves.
Yeah.
They're tree spirits.
Any rumors on updating Rhino kits and having Primaris Rhinos? Yeah, we talked about this. There is a rumor on the Rhino kit getting updated and being able to take Tacticus Marines in it. So,
Yeah, there's the rumor is pretty much as solid as you can probably get without saying it's fact.
yeah.
So there's been multiple different sources saying that the kit is in existence, and I'm sure they're just waiting for the new Space Marine Codex book to come out
Yeah.
before unveiling it.
Yeah, most likely. I am really excited for the new land speeder. Speaking of new
Yeah.
models, I've always loved the land speeder. The storm speeders just didn't do it for me. Partially because the model's much bigger. The other problem I have with it is they're also very expensive. I think they're all like over 100 points. And I miss the days of having like a 65 point, 70 point land speeder that could just zip around. Even if it was, it was cheap, it was fast, it had some decent guns. So I'm really looking forward to that new kit. We definitely, I made a video about it when the trailer came out. And I was like, this is 100% a new land speeder because at number one, it has the hog on it, the heavy onslaught Gatling. And number two, you can definitely tell it looks more like a Primaris vehicle, but still very much a land speeder. But it has those new design cues that they use. And then like 2 days later, GW posted an article and was like, "Hey, what's that?" with a picture of it from the cinematic. So there's
It
definitely
looks
a new
like a
land
land
speeder.
speeder tornado,
Yeah, yeah.
just
So
upsized.
yeah. So looking forward to see what kind of guns it's gonna have. I hope we're gonna get like three variants like we did, where you get like a hog on it, some kind of missile launcher would be cool, and then maybe like a multi melta or something. Some along those lines. I'm looking forward to see what kind of weapons they give it. I'm really hoping that it stays cheap, 70, maybe 80 points at most. Would be perfect, to be honest. But yeah, looking forward to that. I will. I'm sure it will be in the new box set. I'm sure it will have a multi-part kit that will have all the options later. So we'll. But yeah, looking forward to that.
So Meta asks a Poor Hammer's podcast style question: what do you think the BT need to fix a hole that they don't have? Me and Alex talked about this a little bit when we were talking about what we felt like the Sword Brother needed. And I kind of laid out a few things that I think the Black Templar in general needs. So I'll kind of reference that a little bit. I think to be successful in the game, to make the meta all the time, we need a self contained trade unit that doesn't require character use. We need to be able to have the best that I can equate it to is a Victrix guard. If we had a unit that was small, contained, cheap, that could go up the board and trade with something, no matter what it was, and not have to worry about losing our 120 points or whatever it was, that's what we need. Without having to put another 100 points of characters on it, I think that would be the biggest thing. We can get around the durability issue in some detachments. So right now, Bastion uses the 20-man units because it's very hard to eat through 20 guys and scoring all those points. But it is very difficult to get the speed balanced. And Bastion does a good job of that because you can advance and charge and do
Yeah.
that to do that. So that's a happy medium. But when you have those big units, you leave a lot on the table as far as being able to trade. You commit a lot to being durable and clogging up the center of the board, and you don't really have trade units at that point. So I think that's what really holds them back from being able to really consistently win games, is you don't have any of those, really cheap, 70 to 110, 120 point units that you can just throw at something, 5-man, 4-man, and just kill something and not have to worry about it.
I
I think
think
that's
I think bros need to go to four attacks with no points increase, and they need a different rule. Uh, the because nothing is falling back from them because they're killing almost everything. The only things that they're not killing is -1 damage stuff. So to be honest, I think their rule should be ignore mods. So yeah, I do they should they be locked to a smaller squad size then? Perhaps. I wouldn't mind them being locked to a 5 man at most, simply because uh, they like no one's no 10 man squads are way too expensive. So I wouldn't mind them being like a 4 or 5 man squad max. Would be totally fine with me. But they need to be on par with the other elite Space Marine units, like Victrix Guard, like um,
Ape Bound.
yeah, Sangard, you know, the wolf dudes, the head takers. So I really feel like they should have probably a 2+ save as well. Would be nice. And then, if we're giving them the ignore mods on damage and a 2+ save, then they should go up in points a little bit, which I'd be fine with. And you want to lock them to a 5 man, fine. But they'll never be a 3 to 6, at least not in the current kit, because the current kit is a 5 man box. GW doesn't do that anymore, where it's like, oh, you have to buy a whole nother box for one guy. It's not how it works. They don't do that anymore. So, but locking them to a 5 man is fine, sort of like Deathwing Knights. Um, I I think they need to be able to stand alone as a unit, which they don't do right now. You're not running Sword Bros right now without multi-character support. Um, they're basically the glue that holds the Castellan and the Marshal together. So that's a problem. And this is supposed to be our most elite unit. So that's how I would fix them.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Victrix scars like the old ones with shields. No, there's a new unit. They don't have shields, but they have 2+ save, 5 attacks with a Mastercrafted Power Sword, 3 to 6 man. They used to have 4 wounds. They reduced them to 3, thankfully. But for some reason, they have damage 2 bolters. I don't know why they decided to get damage 2 bolters, Ultramarines, I guess. That's another thing that irritates me, but neither here nor there.
yeah. So the best armies out there can do at least two of the three main things. Is they're fast, they're durable, so they can hold objectives, or they can kill things really well.
Sangard do all three.
And some the really top armies are the ones that like do all three. Yes. So I really like I kind of touched back on it. I really think that we need to have something that's tradable that fits into those, and you can make Sword Brethren into that. And thematically, I would agree. If you lock them to 5, that would be fine, because lore says they're basically an honor guard anyway.
Yeah.
Not having tons of Sword Brethren into the army or the crusade is not what the lore says anyway.
Right.
So it's not like you're taking 30 Sword Brethren.
Yeah.
You probably have 30 Sword Brethren in a crusade total.
I mean, most players that are playing any kind of competitive level are not taking 10. Casual players will take 10 because they think it's cool, or they just don't know that it's overkill and a point sink. Um, so, yeah, I think, I think they need to be buffed. They need a minimum of +1 attack at their current points. And then if you want to bump their points and make them even better, give them a better ability, give them a 2+ save, and cap them at 5. And I'm fine with that.
But Alex, if you put Helbricht and a Castellan and 10 Sword Brethren in a Land Raider Crusader and you drop them out, you can kill 2 knights a turn.
Yeah. Well,
you multi-charge.
Right. Yes. Yes. On turn 1, if you have the Armored Spear Tip.
Don't actually do that.
No.
Don't actually do
Bad
that.
idea. Don't do that. That's like 1 billion points. It's like half your army right there. Yeah, don't do that. Do you think they will remake the ATV into a better motorcycle with a sidecar mounted gun? I wish they would, but no, I don't think they will. Sword Brethren are packed 5 per box. GW has to keep them down rule wise until they get a 3-man box. Lol. Yeah. Um, I don't know when or if GW is going to redo the Sword Bro kit. Honestly, I love the Sword Bro kit. It's one of the best kits that GW has made in 40k. We have some of the best models in 40k, especially amongst the Space Marine models. Um, you know, eat your heart out, Blood Angels. Space Wolf's got some new. Their new Head Takers kit is really sick. Um, but uh, but yeah, I miss the sidecar attack bikes. They were fun. So, all right,
Yep.
guys. Well, it is 11 o'clock. Is there anything you wanted to say, Bob? You were about to say something.
No, I was just gonna say if there's anything else, you got like a minute
Oh
more
yeah.
for us.
The ATV is awesome. Fight me in the parking lot. Yeah. Uh, we don't need to fight about it, but it's not my favorite. But I don't hate it as much as other people do.
It's
So
the one model that I do not own out of the Space Marine range.
so. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. We will try to schedule more regular streams. We used to do this once a month. Life has kind of gotten in our way lately, but we'll try to do this more often. Get back to that monthly live stream, especially as we're coming up to 11th. Hopefully, there'll be lots more to talk about here soon. We'll be putting out more videos. We're going to do deep dive on the a couple of these new detachments that we really like. We're going to do videos whenever GW talks about 11th stuff. So, yeah. Have a great rest of your weekend.